I never imagined that at 85, my greatest fear would be the sound of laughter drifting down the hallway, or the gentle tap on my shoulder as someone passes by. Yet here I am, surrounded by memories, but quietly keeping my distance from the living. I'm 85, and I avoid people now. Those words don't come easily. They carry the weight of a life fully lived, a heart that has loved deeply, lost deeply, and finally learned the quiet strength of stepping back. There was a time when I welcomed every conversation, every gathering, every knock at the door. I enjoyed people. I listened to their stories, shared my own, and believed that the more connected we were, the richer life became. But age has a way of rearranging your priorities. After decades of experiences, joyful, painful, and everything in between, you begin to see time differently. You begin to guard it. But let me say this clearly. This is not a story about resentment or bitterness. I don't avoid people because I dislike them. I do it because life has taught me the value of peace, of quiet, and of protecting the small amount of energy I have left. Today I want to share what 85 years have taught me about time, relationships, solitude, and the surprising calm that comes when you finally choose what truly matters. At 85, time feels very different from how it once did. When I was younger, days seemed endless, and I believed there would always be more of them waiting ahead. But now I understand something I couldn't see before. Time is not infinite. It is precious, quiet, and limited. And that realization changes the way you live. These days, I no longer spend hours on things that don't truly matter. In the past, I often said yes out of habit, attending gatherings I didn't enjoy, listening to conversations that left me tired, fulfilling obligations that added little to my life. But now, I see my time as something valuable, something I must protect. What's surprising is how vivid each moment has become. Simple things feel richer than they used to. The sunlight in the morning, the calm of a quiet afternoon, the gentle rhythm of a peaceful day. These moments mean more to me now than a crowded schedule ever did. Life has shifted from constantly doing to quietly being. And with that shift came an important decision. I began letting go of anything or anyone that drains my energy instead of adding to it. That doesn't come from anger or bitterness. It comes from understanding that every moment I have left deserves care. When you reach this age, you stop living on autopilot. You start choosing where your time goes and who you spend it with. And sometimes that means spending more time alone, not because life has become empty, but because it has finally become intentional. For me, avoiding certain people isn't about distance. It's about protecting the precious time I still have and filling it with what truly brings peace. By the time I reach 85, I begin to see relationships in a very different light. When I was younger, I believed the people in my life would stay there forever, just as close and familiar as they were in the beginning. But life has a quiet way of teaching you that not all relationships are meant to last a lifetime, and that's not always a bad thing. For many years, I thought losing touch with someone meant something had gone wrong. I carried the weight of it, wondering if I had failed somehow. But with time, I've learned that letting go isn't always a sign of failure. Often it's a sign that both people are simply moving forward in their own way. And that, too, is part of life. Now, I pay more attention to what a relationship truly brings into my life. I value mutual respect, kindness, and emotional balance. At this stage, I no longer have the energy for connections that feel one-sided or exhausting. What matters most is being around people who offer support, understanding, and calm. My circle has become smaller over the years, but strangely, it feels richer. A few genuine bonds mean far more than a crowd of acquaintances. The conversations are deeper, the silence more comfortable, and the presence more meaningful. Still, I hold great appreciation for the people who were once part of my journey. The memories we shared shaped who I am today, and I will always cherish them. But I've also learned to accept the present as it is. Some relationships belong to another chapter of life, and honoring those memories while embracing where I am now, that, I believe, is a quiet kind of wisdom. When you've lived for 85 years, you've seen enough of life to understand people a little more clearly. Experience has a way of sharpening your awareness. It teaches you to notice what once went unseen, the tone behind someone's words, the intentions hidden in their actions, the difference between kindness and convenience. Over time, trust stops being something you give freely. It becomes something that is earned. When I was younger, I trusted easily. I believed what people told me, and I rarely questioned their intentions. I thought that was the right way to live, open, welcoming, and hopeful. But life, as it often does, brought a few painful lessons. There were moments of disappointment, times when people I trusted didn't treat that trust with care. But those experiences didn't turn me bitter. Instead, they made me wiser. Now, I move through the world with more discernment. I listen to my instincts more carefully than I ever did before. When something feels wrong, I no longer ignore it just to keep the peace. I've learned that intuition is not something to dismiss, it's something to respect. Trust, for me now, grows slowly. It builds through consistent actions, honesty, and respect. And I've also learned that it's okay if not everyone earns it. Not every person needs to be close, and not every door needs to remain open. At this stage of life, boundaries have become a form of self-care. They are not walls built out of anger, but quiet lines drawn out of self-respect. They protect my peace, my energy, and the time I have left. So yes, I trust fewer people now. But the trust I do give is deeper, stronger, and far more meaningful than it ever was before. When I reach 85, I realize that the world I once knew has changed in ways I never expected. Life moves faster now. Conversations happen through screens. Friendships are measured in messages, and people seem to rush from one moment to the next without truly being present. Technology has connected everyone, yet somehow it has also created a kind of distance. I'm not saying the modern world is bad, it's simply different. But for someone like me, who remembers slower days and face-to-face conversations that lasted for hours, the change feels overwhelming at times. Back then, people sat together, listened carefully, and meant what they said. Today, sincerity often gets lost in the noise of constant notifications and hurried exchanges. Because of that, I've found myself stepping back. I don't crave endless updates or digital conversations that feel rushed and empty. What I long for are meaningful interactions, moments when someone truly listens, when silence is comfortable, and when words come from the heart rather than a screen. Those moments feel rare now, and perhaps that's why I protect them more carefully. So instead of keeping up with the pace of everything around me, I've chosen something different. I've chosen peace, a quieter life, a slower rhythm where I can think, reflect, and simply exist without feeling pushed by the world's constant motion. Some people might call that nostalgia, as if I'm just longing for the past. But it's not about going backward, it's about clarity. After all these years, I know what truly feels real and what doesn't. And sometimes, avoiding the noise of the modern world is the only way to hold on to what matters most. I've learned something many people misunderstand. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. When I choose to spend time alone, it isn't because my life is empty. It's because in that quiet space, I've found something powerful: clarity, healing, and a deep sense of peace. There was a time when I feared being alone. I thought silence meant something was missing. But over the years, I discovered that solitude can actually bring you closer to yourself. Without the constant noise of the outside world, you begin to reflect. You think about your life, your choices, the people you've loved, and the lessons you've learned along the way. And in those moments, something beautiful happens. You begin to understand yourself more clearly. Solitude has allowed me to feel gratitude for the life I've lived, even with its struggles. It has given me the chance to slow down and appreciate things I once overlooked. More importantly, it has helped me rediscover my own worth, not based on what others think or say, but on what I know to be true within myself. Ironically, spending time alone has made my connections with others better. When I do speak with someone now, I'm fully present. I listen more carefully. I value the moment more deeply. Solitude didn't push me away from people. It taught me how to connect in a more meaningful way. And if what I'm sharing resonates with you, if these words remind you of your own journey or someone you care about, I invite you to stay with me on this path. Subscribe to this channel because here we're not just telling stories, we're sharing lessons from a lifetime, heart to heart. Now I've learned a simple truth. Not everyone deserves your time or energy. For most of my life, I was always available. I answered calls, attended events, and offered help, often at the expense of my own peace. I thought that being present for everyone was a measure of kindness, loyalty, or worth. But over time, I realized it was draining me. I began to notice patterns, the same people who brought drama, expectation, or negativity into my life, the conversations that left me exhausted rather than uplifted. And slowly, I understood that my energy was finite. Every hour I spent soothing someone else's chaos was an hour taken from my own calm, my own reflection, my own joy. That's why I started walking away, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but out of respect for myself. I've learned to prioritize peace over people-pleasing. Life at this stage isn't about fitting in, being liked by everyone, or constantly responding to the demands of others. It's about choosing carefully who you allow into your world, and the results have been profound. My circle is smaller now, yes, but it is filled with genuine love, mutual respect, and emotional balance. The few connections I maintain are deep, meaningful, and nurturing. They don't drain me, they restore me. Avoiding people isn't a retreat from life. It's a strategy for living it fully. It's choosing depth over breadth, quality over quantity. At 85, I finally understand that the richness of life comes not from the number of people around you, but from the strength, love, and honesty of those you keep close. If this resonates with you, take it to heart. And remember, it's okay to protect your time, your energy, and your peace. If you think I'm the only one who has reached 85 and decided to step back from the world, you'd be mistaken. Many people over 60 have discovered the same truth I have. Life is too short to spend it on things, and sometimes people that don't truly matter. This isn't about isolation. It's about realizing that our energy is precious, and how we spend it defines the quality of our remaining years. Across countless conversations, I've learned that this is a shared experience. People begin to prioritize themselves, not out of selfishness, but out of wisdom. They choose intention over obligation. They no longer feel compelled to attend every gathering, reply to every message, or please everyone around them. Instead, they focus on relationships that bring meaning, connection, and calm. This shift doesn't make us lonely. On the contrary, it brings a deeper kind of companionship. By letting go of superficial obligations, we make space for moments that truly matter, those filled with mutual respect, understanding, and presence. We connect in ways that are genuine rather than performative. Stepping back also teaches an important lesson. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It is smart. It is the knowledge that our energy, our time, and our peace are not limitless. Protecting them ensures that the life we have left is lived fully, calmly, and with dignity. So if you feel drawn to this way of living, if the idea of stepping back and choosing your moments resonates, know that you are not alone. There is a quiet community of people who understand, who have learned that sometimes the best way to honor life is to honor yourself first. And in that, there is strength, clarity, and a peace worth protecting. At 85, I've come to understand something I wish I had realized much earlier. Life is no longer about performance. It's not about keeping up appearances, meeting everyone's expectations, or proving anything to the world. At this stage, it's about peace. Quiet, steady, unshakable peace. I've let go of the noise, the drama, and the endless distractions that once seemed unavoidable. Invitations that don't inspire, conversations that drain, and obligations that steal joy. They no longer have a place in my life. I've discovered that freedom comes from saying no, from stepping back, and from honoring the rhythm of your own days. This chapter is about embracing simplicity, stillness, and presence. I notice the warmth of sunlight on my skin, the soft rustle of leaves outside, the sound of laughter shared with someone who truly matters. I notice how peaceful it feels to sit quietly with a cup of tea, to reflect on memories without rush, and to simply breathe. The small things, the fleeting, ordinary moments, carry more meaning than I ever realized. I've learned that solitude is not emptiness, it's clarity. It's the freedom to be authentic, without expectation or pretense. I can spend my time exactly as I wish, surrounded by the people and moments that matter most, and let the rest fade into the background. This is the chapter where life finally feels fully mine. It is slower, yes, but richer. It is quieter, yes, but deeper. And in this stillness, I've found joy, freedom, and authenticity in ways I never imagined. If you're walking a similar path, remember, it's never too late to embrace your own chapter of peace. Choose what fills you, release what drains you, and live each day with intention. The rest will take care of itself. Avoiding people doesn't mean withdrawing from life. At 85, I've learned that it is something far deeper, a conscious choice, a path toward peace. It is about protecting the energy you've spent decades cultivating, honoring the lessons you've learned, and living each remaining moment with intention rather than obligation. I've earned the right to be selective, to say no without guilt, to let go of what drains me and hold close only what nourishes my spirit. That doesn't make me selfish, it makes me wise. Life is too short to give yourself away to things or people that leave you empty. Now I prioritize joy, depth, and authenticity in everything I do. I notice the sunlight on the windowsill, the laughter of someone I love, the quiet comfort of solitude. I cherish the bonds that matter, and I release those that no longer serve. Every decision is about living fully, calmly, and deliberately. And in the end, I remind myself, and perhaps you too, this chapter is mine. It is a chapter of clarity, freedom, and peace. I will live it gently but fully. I will treasure what matters, release what doesn't, and move through it with a heart open yet protected. This chapter is mine, and I choose peace.